Hello, my name is Francisco Cajas from second B, and well, this is my Mesocosm project. This is how it looks after, I don't know, 6 weeks? 6 weeks, yeah. And well, the materials I used to build my Mesocosm is this 1.7 liters jar, a glass jar. Then inside I add some gravel. You can see, but there are rocks, soil, cactus, cacti, and two other species of plants. How I built this was very simple. First, I grabbed my jar and I filled it until and I added 500 milliliters of gravel mixed with rocks. Then, until the 1 liter, I added soil, and on top of the soil, I just added the plants. After that, I place it in my desk right here, where lights comes from the window and directly hits my mesocosm. This mesocosm lasted like 7 or 6 weeks, and well, now it's dead. But now I will briefly explain each week and the changes. In week one, there was no changes or significant changes, as the only thing I could clearly see was the humidity inside the jar, as there was a lot of condensation. As you can see, the water droplets and the jar being white from the heat that accumulated inside the jar. In week two, the mesocosm had made me very happy because a flower had appeared inside. As you can see, there are rows, and also there was no much more droplets of water as before. In week three, there was a huge change, as the cactus was now fully covered in mold, like you couldn't see the cactus. Also, the plant with the flower started to turn kind of orange at the beginning of the roots. And now there were fewer droplets of water, as there was less condensation. In week four, there were other changes, as in the flower, for example, that it disappeared, it died, the flower, and it only remained the plant, that it was slowly dying as the color started to turn from a bright green into a more orange green. Also, the other plant was exactly the same. It didn't suffer any changes from the mold of the cactus, and well, that was exactly the other change. The cactus, that the bright white mold had now become just a thin layer of mold in the cactus. In week five, on the plant where the flower used to be, some white dots started to appear on top of the plant. I don't know what they were, but they were like on top of in all the jar. Basically, it was all around the jar, these white dots. And what surprised me is that the other plant still remain intact since the beginning until this point. And then the other major change was the cactus. The cactus was still wrapped around a thin layer of mold. Now I'm on week 6, and there has been other major changes in the mesocosm. Like, for example, what? Well, the two of the three plants has now completely died, and there are worms. Look, as you can see there's a small worm moving. There it is. And the cactus that used to be green is now white after the mold disappeared. And the flower, well, died, and it is dry. It's completely dried, this plant. And finally, well, this plant survived. I don't know how or why, but it didn't suffer any changes in these 6 weeks. Now, for my final reflection, I will answer the 4 questions on Classroom. Did my mesocosm stay stable or failed? It failed. Basically, it failed. Everything died except for one plant, and there are worms. So Yeah, it failed. The second question is what worked well? Well, this plant worked really well, as it was the only thing that survived in the Mesocosm. The third question was uh, what was the problem, I think, and that was the cactus. Because of the cactus, everything died, because cactus wasn't such a great idea at the end. And the last question is, if I did this project again, what would I change? Well, the cactus, I would put another plant instead of the cactus. So yeah, thanks for joining me in this adventure of doing a mesocosm. See you next time.